You can be the gut checker or give me the data. And I'm kind of a, hey, show me the data. Welcome to Cue the Mic.
Welcome to Cue the Mic.
Episode 13.
Yep, 13.
13. I'm trying to liven up Emma here this morning. She says she's a little. She says she's alive but not awake, and you know we might have talked about Emma's now an early riser, and going through this whole fitness thing, and losing weight, and not that she really needed to lose weight because she probably only weighed $110 anyway. But anyway, she going through this whole fitness thing and improving her health and all stuff, great for her, but she's not awake yet. And I'm like, Emma, you just went through all this fitness stuff. I'm
awake. It's just, I've been up for already 5 hours, and that's a lot.
Right. Yeah. No, I've been, yeah.
It's just my coffee, and I got my coffee late, so it hasn't kicked in quite yet.
You got my coffee late.
Yeah. But we're getting there.
Well, we need to get you into that. You don't need the coffee to come alive. Right?
I've been drinking coffee since I was in 8th grade. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Oh, and coffee's my gig now. I'm into really great coffee, making pressed coffee every morning and stuff. But
I used to be a tea guy.
Coffee gives me gas, and Sherry doesn't like me drinking coffee. But she's just accepted it because I'm just infatuated with coffee.
It's so interesting.
It is. It's like bourbon. I go through my thing. Like I've got this big bourbon collection, and every bourbon is different, and every coffee is different. And I tell you, I'm stuck on this Jamaican Me Crazy coffee, and it's like, and I don't have great taste buds, but it's like chocolate and vanilla and Kahlua notes in it, and it's a very smooth coffee. Mm-hmm. Do you ever make your own coffee, Emma, or do you just buy it somewhere?
I make it.
You do?
I'll have to. Yeah. I have a French press, but I don't use it very often.
Oh, well, I'll get you some Jamaican Me Crazy. Do you have a grinder?
I have a blender.
No. You need a coffee grinder. So I'll grind you some coffee, but I want you to French press it.
Okay.
And Jamaican Me Crazy, you'll be in love. You'll be begging me because I have to I mail order it in from Florida.
I have a coffee like that, but mine's from Louisiana.
Really? What is it?
My aunt gets it because she lives down there. It's
Community?
No, it's something King's, but then it's like coffee cake. I'd have to look it up.
Huh.
But
interesting.
I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, it's so good. It's more of a sweet.
Good. Well, remind me. I'll get you some Jamaican Me Crazy. It's amazing. And I guess it's available everywhere, but I'm just addicted to it. But I really don't need a lot of coffee when I get out of bed. My mind's going, right? From second one. So I'm hopping and ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
How are we going to change the world? And we'll talk about that later. But
yeah.
So last week, lots of fun. Had the Reverend Randy Twyford.
That was an episode. To say the least. It was something. Editing it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but there for a while I was nervous.
Oh, it was just when we were recording that thing, and if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It was a total shit show. And I got done with that thing, and I'm like, what in the hell just happened?
And then watch it, that's my face the entire time.
Really? I didn't watch it.
I don't know what's happening. Because Randy was on.
But when I listened to it, I was like, boy, we were all over the place. But we really weren't. Mm-mm. Once you listen, and I didn't know if you were moving the editing around or if we would just.
Nope.
But
that was all organic.
It was pretty smooth. So, yeah, Randy. Yeah. Well, of course, Randy and I have been friends for 20 plus years. So, we've got a lot more stories. And I don't know, maybe we have to have Randy on like every third or fourth episode and just.
Might have to.
Just have a shit show.
Just have a shit show.
Because most people we were telling stories in that podcast about olden times, and one of the things we didn't talk about was we talked about Shiggin, I think, right?
Yep.
My memory's horrible, so Emma has to keep me on track. But
yep, we did talk about Shiggin.
We created the 922 shot. Most people don't know where that came from, and so years ago when we started in barbecue, 20 years ago, Phil Hopkins and Phil Morrow and those guys, they used to always have an 11 o'clock lucky shot. And so we would have a shot of Jack Daniels, usually Gentleman Jack, at 11 o'clock in the morning to wish everybody good luck to the contest. And when we were younger, we started the young guys did an 8 o'clock shot to get ready for the 11 o'clock shot, just to kind of prep ourselves. So we did shots of Jack Daniels at 8 o'clock, and then we did shots at 11 o'clock. Well, it got to be where people couldn't get to the 8 o'clock shot because if you know competition barbecue, 8 o'clock is normally the ideal time that people are putting ribs on their smoker. Okay, so normally either it's a 3.5 hour cook or a 4 hour cook. You're going to turn them in at 12:30. You want them off at noon, which means I need to put them on at 8 o'clock in the morning. So everybody was always busy and in a rush, and 8 o'clock didn't work. So we were sitting there shooting the shit going, wow, what time? We need to change this shot time. And we come up with 9:22. And the significance of 9:22 was nothing. The significance was that nobody's doing shit at 9:22. Right? So when you cook, you're cooking 8 o'clock, and I'm putting my chicken on at 8:30, or I'm wrapping ribs at 9:30, and everybody does stuff on every 15 minutes or half hour according to your timeline. But nobody's doing shit at 9:22. So we started the 9:22 shot. So Randy started out doing this blessing. And it's funny. You can go out on YouTube and look at 9:22 blessing or 9:22 shot. And there's videos of Randy doing the 9:22 blessing. And so he went and got ordained by the Universal Life Church of Modesto, California. Right? So he would do this big thing, and he would start out the blessing he'd go, by the power invested in me, by the Universal Life Church of, and the whole crowd would go, Modesto, California. And he'd say the state of Illinois, the city of Jacksonville, whatever. And he'd just give this motivational, inspirational speech. And it was a great part of barbecue history. It still is a great part of barbecue history. But I was at a wedding last weekend, and it was the minister's first time. And he goes, and by the power invested in me by the state of Iowa and the Universal Life Church of, and I'm like, are you shitting me? I almost wanted to scream out Modesto, California, but it was in the middle of the wedding. I didn't do it. But it brought back that great memory.
Yeah. Wow.
It was fun. So
he really is quite the trendsetter.
Oh, he is. He is. We meshed well together. I told him the other day, I said, well, I think I'm not sure we're going to have a lot of guests, but maybe we need to bring him in every once in a while. We're going to have to. I told him his internet at home was going to have to get better. He's got crappy internet, and I said that ain't going to work on this show. You got to have. Yeah, I said go get some. Figure out. I said go get some Starlink or something. So he reported back to me this morning that Starlink's not available in this area, but he was searching for fiber network at his house because I think he really enjoyed doing the podcast.
I do too. He's going to start his own too.
No, I don't think we want him to start his own.
I don't want him to, but he could.
I think we just want him to incorporate him into ours some. Yeah. And I think that would be a lot of fun, and just you'll just sit there and shake your head the entire time.
It was a lot. Well, it started off so like it was like a race, like 100-meter dash. It's like the gun was shot and he just bolted, and there was no going back.
No, it was like, okay, how are we going to introduce Randy? Well, we don't have to, because he's going to overtalk and introduce himself.
Yeah. Well, we were going to, but he just took his own liberty. It was like, just kidding, I'll do it.
Yeah. He's funny. So
I'd like to point out, the reason I was laughing so hard when we started that episode was because Randy was straight up yelling at me. Like, hit record, do it. And it was like, it felt like someone was literally screaming into my ear. And I was just like, I had flashbacks to playing sports. I was like getting yelled at by a coach. I was like, I can't do this. What's happening? It's too early for this.
The old drill sergeant.
Yeah. It's like, my God.
Yeah, it's funny. I think we would sit there and talk about the food. You know, so one of our things when we do barbecue competitions is we want to go find the local place for food. No, we don't want to find the highly advertised place. We're looking for the dive where the locals eat. And we've made it a mission across the country, whether in Madison, Indiana, whether it's the Shipley Burger, which is a hand-pressed flat-top burger. The burger comes from the grocery store, and we used to fancy it up. And they had fried bologna, which is a thing in southern Indiana and Illinois and Missouri. Not really a thing in Iowa for some reason, but they did fried bologna, so I'd get a sandwich, and they didn't have eggs there, but I'd bring my own egg to the bar. And I'd say, hey, can I have a Shipley burger with fried bologna and an egg on top? And they'd crack that egg and put it on top. And it was just the most amazing burger. Or, we've been in California before where, eating tamales with chili Colorado and queso on it. And just all kinds of stuff. We could probably do 3 episodes just on food. And Sherry thinks I should write a cookbook and talk about the travels of the travels and the food and how I've tried to replicate a lot of the food. When we went to Nashville Hot Chicken in Nashville and then come back and try and replicate what they did there in order to make our Nashville Hot Chicken sandwich.
Yeah, so that would actually be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how you get it done. I've got a friend, Shane Barron, old Buck Barron, a high school buddy of mine, that he's writing his own book about our high school days. And he's been doing it for, 10, 12 years, Buck. Hopefully, I don't know if Buck listens, but if he does, maybe he'll get it done. But these guys have vivid memories of high school. I know. I don't have vivid memories of high school.
I went to high school 6 years ago, and I don't even have vivid memories of high school.
I mean, these guys, we all played on the football team, and they remembered every play and every tackle of every game.
That's insane.
Did we go out for football? And that was me. I was more interested in...
Probably had a head injury. That's why you can't remember.
I was more interested in hanging out with the girls afterwards.
Jesus. Oh, jeez.
That's why I was statistician once of the girls' basketball team. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't a wrestler. I was a horrible wrestler. And I didn't like to play basketball, so I didn't have anything to do. So in the wintertime, I became the statistician for the girls' basketball team. Want to know why? So I could ride on the bus with my girlfriend in the back.
Oh, Jesus.
Made a lot of sense, didn't it? All right. What's going on in your life, Emma? Anything?
In my life?
Yeah.
Not much. I'm going to a concert. That's pretty exciting.
Which one are you going to?
Post Malone.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, you'd know him if you saw him. He's the guy that's covered in tattoos.
Well, that's half of America now, Emma.
Fair enough.
So what's he sing? What is he, a country guy? Is he a rap guy? What is he?
He started as like hip hop rap, and he's more pop now. But
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're gonna have to play a song for me to see if I recognize any.
He has a couple songs that you might recognize.
Like what? Can you sing them to me?
No. One, we would get copyrighted, so not gonna do that. And 2,
if you're singing it,
yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah, that's how that goes. And 2, I will not sing on this podcast ever.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of secretly a Taylor Swift fan, and I never really followed Taylor Swift at all. But
oh my God,
my TikTok feed is just full of
mine too.
Taylor Swift. We found something in common.
She's a mastermind.
Well, I think she's the modern day Billy Joel, Elton John.
Okay.
I mean, she is. I mean, Billy Joel and Elton John used everywhere they went. They sold out everything, and she is. It's amazing. It's amazing the showmanship.
Yeah, her thing's like so much more than her concerts and her music.
Yeah,
it's like a game for her.
Oh, I don't know anything else about her. Oh, I haven't done my research on her. I'm not.
She's a genius, a literal genius.
But I'm telling you, I would pay $1,500 to go sit at a concert. I really would, and I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't pay 5 cents to go across the street to listen to Post Malone. That's how much I don't like music. I'm just not a music guy. But from what I've seen in the entertainment, I would buy primo seats.
Yeah. One of my friends went to the Eras tour in Kansas City, night one. The best night of her concerts thus far, because she dropped her version of one of her old albums. And they said that it was an absolute surreal experience. Like, never going to top that ever in their life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
I saw Taylor Swift when I was in 5th grade, and it was, even then, it was insane.
Really?
Yeah.
She's that old?
Yeah. I mean,
is she old?
She's been doing this. Yeah, she's like in her 30s, her early 30s.
So you're saying she's been doing this since
she's been doing this since she was like 15.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I mean, I've heard her name, but I've never paid much attention. But when it shows up in the TikTok feed, then it gets serious. And then you get addicted to watching.
Yeah. And then it's all your feed.
Kind of like the other thing that I'm just addicted to in my TikTok feed, these breakfast restaurants. And so these cooks put a camera up above their griddle and their stovetop. And they're cooking hash browns and they're cooking eggs and omelets and whatever. And there's two guys, I don't know what their name is, but they'll come up on my feed and they're live. And you go on a Sunday morning, and that's usually when I have a little time to kind of do nothing. Sunday morning, you'll go on there, and I'll sit there and I'll be watching them for 2 hours. And there's two guys with two separate TikTok feeds. And they're both the line cooks, and you can see the one working from the other one. So if you go to one live feed to the other, and these guys are making omelets and whatever, and it's crazy. I love the mechanics of a kitchen and their efficiencies and things like that. When he makes a plate, he holds it up to the camera. Okay, here's a corned beef hash omelet with Swiss and whatever, and then they send it out, and then he'll bring in the dishwasher. This gal's a dishwasher, and she comes in, and she's the guest cook. So, okay, we're a little slow right now. So, hey, Jeannie, come in. You're gonna be the guest cook here, and she'll cook the omelets, and she'll try and flip eggs, and it'll go all over the place, and it's just fun. It's
fun.
Yeah, huh. I love watching. I love watching people cook, but I'm not gonna watch TV. So,
TikToks.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, TikToks. So what else is going on?
Not much with me. What's going on with you? What's on your mind, Darren?
What's on my mind? Well, this week has been the week of proteins. It has been a total, we use the word shit show. Yeah. Shit show when it comes to pork and brisket pricing. It's just like we're just uncharted territory a little bit. We always say that, and it recovers and something happens. But, they passed this thing in California called Proposition 12. Not sure if you're familiar with Proposition 12 or not.
I am not.
So Proposition 12 is, and I'll use the word liberal, it's a very liberal policy that doesn't, all the pork consumed in the state of California has to come from farms that give the hogs so many square feet of space to grow in. Okay, so think about pastures and stuff, hogs, right? Growing hogs in a pasture. While in 95% of America, hogs are grown in confinements. Yeah. Okay, so you have baby pigs and they go into a nursery, because I used to work in one when I was a kid. They go into a nursery and then they go into feeder pigs. A lot of times feeder pigs are sold off to be fed out to then go get butchered, and that's how we get our pork chops and all that deliciousness that we cook every day. And so, but when they get to be sows or mamas and have babies, they put them in confinement. So they're very tight cages. Now, some argue that the tight cages are the security, because it allows the hog to stand up, sit down, but not really, and they could turn around a little bit, but not really. But when they're having babies, you don't want them moving around, because they're just going to lay down and kill their newborn. Because, here this hog weighs 300 pounds or whatever, and they're going to sit on top of this piglet that weighs a pound, and it's going to kill it. It happens all the time. So So they have confinements, and confinements are very confined spaces, but they're air conditioned. I mean, they're nice facilities, but they're confined. Well, the people in California or whoever's driving this change didn't like that. And so they wanted to go back to kind of pasture raised animals, which means each farm can't grow as many animals. And they're not necessarily feeding them all the same way and whatever. So it just takes a lot more space, which, of course, if a farmer has this overhead cost and it can't raise, it can only raise a tenth of the amount of animals, what do you think happens to the price? The price goes up.
Yeah.
Right? So this whole thing has blown up, and they come up with this Proposition 12. When did it affect July 1st? And so on July 1st, there was, in the language of the law, and I haven't really read the law, but it's affecting us, that it had to be in a warehouse on a PO, whatever, by July 1st. Otherwise, it has to meet this new standard. Well, there's only 2 pork facilities in America that meet the standard of how these farms feed into this stuff. Okay, so there's only 2 suppliers that have to supply all the pork to the state of California.
Okay.
So before this happened, everybody saw this coming in California, right? So so every producer around the country has shipped and filled warehouses prior to July 1st of pork.
Yeah.
So all the pork butts that everybody was raised went to California, which made pork butts very scarce in the Midwest and the East Coast.
Okay.
When you make things scarce, what happens? The price goes up. So where we were paying $1.30 for a pork butt, we're now paying $2.30 for a pork butt. And people are like, well, that's $1. Well, but if you do the math in the restaurant business, we lose 50% of our pork when we cook it. So it's got so much fat in it that 50%, and by the time you take a bone out of a pork butt, 50% is our yield on average. Could range anywhere from 45 to 55, but 50% is a good average. So now that $1 a pound increase isn't $1 a pound, it's really $2 a pound, which we serve third pound sandwiches. So $2, that's 66 cents a sandwich. Cost increase. Now, normal in a restaurant, normal food costs, let's say even you have great food cost in a barbecue restaurant and you run 33%. That means I need to raise the price of a sandwich $1.80 to make up for it. Or I need to charge it $6 a pound. You have to raise it $6 a pound. So now instead of $15.99 a pound, now we really should be charging $21.99 a pound.
Holy.
Right? And so it's happened to us in pork. In ribs, we have a national contract. We buy 250,000 pounds of ribs a year. And so we order them truckloads at a time, our distributor does for us, and we cut a contract and they do it. We go to order ribs, we're down to a 4-week supply, and guess what? They don't have any ribs. We can't fill your order. What do you mean you can't fill order? Nope, we can't fill your order. Well, what can you sub it with? Do you have a heavier rack of ribs? Nope, don't have any ribs. So I've had a contract, an annual contract for 6 years with the same company. And they just shit on me.
Yeah.
And for somebody that serves thousands of racks of rib.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Week, that's a lot. So now we're in a scurry working with our meat guys trying to figure out how do we move that production? How do we figure out that same spec of rib or a better rib and find that production out there, because we're a big consumer. So if I go to a plant and say, hey, they want me because we're a big volume supplier, what do you think that's going to do to the small guy? Because they're going to tell him, sorry, Smokey D's just bought. I don't have any ribs for you. So it's a top-down effect.
Yeah,
So that's all that Proposition 12. And they think now that once that all gets consumed, now all of a sudden they'll start rebuilding inventories and then the price will level back out. So the question is, do you raise your prices? Do you kind of wait it out? Do you try and not raise them all the way and just go up a little bit? Yeah. Or it's just a pain, but normally we've been able to offset. So, pork went up, but beef went down. Okay, fine. We're not going to raise the price of pork and we're not going to reduce the price of beef. We're just going to play it out. Well, now we're finding that and brisket points where burnt ends are made are very scarce in that market. We used to buy those for $2.65 a pound, and we've been buying them lately for $3, $3.50 a pound, whatever. That quoted price now is $5.80 a pound. So now we're up $2 a pound there, really $4 a pound cost on the finish. So really, if we were doing it right, we'd be raising the price of brisket $12 a pound. Just to do our normal operations. Now, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the stress that's hitting all in 1 week. Oh, in 1 week. This is here. So that's, this week's just been wow.
Why would they? Why? What makes it like? Was it just? Why would they do that? Like, what? Is there any benefits? Like, or is it just to like not?
To raise this in.
Yeah, to like not have them in the confinements, like, and in a, more of a pasture. Is it
it was friendlier to the animals.
Okay, so it was just that's kind of what I was worried you were gonna say. Yeah,
well, it was
not necessarily a word, but like.
But that's So it's kind of it's based upon, and that's why I kind of use the word liberal. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it's a friendly to the animal thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, this is how the world works. And second of all, they're going to a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so
not gonna know
who cares if a pig is happy, right? It's a food stream, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not putting humans in confinements, even though some people would say we are when we send them to jail or whatever. But these are animals that have one sole reason. They're raised not as pets. They're raised for production of meat to feed the world.
Yeah.
And so we see it all the time. We've seen it in the coal versus electric car versus what same type stuff, and sometimes it rises to the top. And this prop tail, at first you think, oh, this isn't going to be a very big deal because, guess what? California's not going to be able to buy pork. They're just going to have to serve chicken, right?
Right.
Well, and that'll be, we're like, so there's going to be a lot more pork because they have a lot of people. There's going to be a lot more pork available in the market because most people can't get their pork out there. And which should then drive our pork price down because there should be an abundance of pork. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what will happen, but it's a long process. So you fill up, they're filling up warehouses so that every California frozen warehouse full of pork, every warehouse here very empty because they shipped it all to California. And so in order for ours to get the price down, we got to get inventories up. So it's one of those things that it's just another curveball they throw at you. Mm-hmm. And the beef, farmers weren't making money. The big beef companies of the world were profiting very, very well. Well, but the guy that was raising the beef, he was still getting paid the same. So the price of beef may double, but he's still getting paid the same. So somebody's making it in the middle. Well, it finally got to the point that some of these ranchers said, screw you. I'm just not going to raise it. So they took beef out of production. They said, oh, no. Why? Why should I lose money doing this? Or why should I break even doing this? So they took all this beef out of production. Well, when you take beef out of production, what's it do? Scarcity drives the price up. Mm-hmm. But like chickens, chickens are raised in 8 weeks. Okay? From the time they're hatched till the time they're butchered is normally 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was that short of a lifespan.
It's that short. So when you get the bird flu or whatever, you eradicate it, you start over, you're better again in 8 weeks. Uh-huh. Right? Mm-hmm. Beef are years. You're talking a year and a half. So of that whole cycle, minimum of a year, depending on the breed and whatever. So when somebody takes it out, you're going to suffer for a year.
That's it? Feels like it would be more than that.
Yeah. But no, it's not.
Huh.
So
That is really
anyway,
interesting.
so that's been weighing on my mind. Well, not weighing on my mind. I mean, it's just another problem. We solve it, and that's. I told the meat guy yesterday. I said, "Hey, I kind of live for this crap. I love for shit to go wrong." You know, when it goes wrong, it's like, okay, let's figure out how do we fix it.
Right.
Let's fix it and move on and make it a better place.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. That's really interesting.
And you probably it's quite.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, when you really study things and what drives things in the economy, it blow your mind. You ever want some really good reading? Go investigate BlackRock.
What's BlackRock?
BlackRock's a big investment firm. And so BlackRock has a ton, billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars in investments. So chances are, and I haven't looked this up yet, but chances are when you invest in our 401k and you say, hey, I want to retire in 2000, whatever year, 2050, let's say, and they have a fund that's the 2050 fund. So you just put your money out there and they invest it. So BlackRock manages a lot of that money. So they take your money and they invest it. And they invest it in companies like Home Depot and Anheuser-Busch and Coors, just everything you could think of. And if you look at almost every major corporation in America, BlackRock owns usually 7 to 8% of those. Well, BlackRock decided to come up with this scale of ESG. Okay, we're not going to get political here, but ESG is how do I don't even remember what it stands for, but I guess I probably I could Google it right quick and figure out ESG meaning. Environmental, social, and corporate governance, also known as environmental, social, and governance, is an approach to investing that recommends taking environmental issues, social issues, and governance issues into account when deciding which companies to invest in. So it used to be when you invested in companies, it was based upon their financials. How well was the company doing? What was their profits and everything? Well, BlackRock has turned the table and said, okay, that's only part of the puzzle now. We want to see how good you are social. How good do you, how are you treating organizations like the LBGQ and whatever that's all in the news now? How are you doing from conserving electric or saving the earth and stuff like that? So they brought that measurement in. So what's really happened is you've got companies, and I don't blame Anheuser-Busch for what happened in the marketing. I don't blame any of the people. But I blame BlackRock, who owns like 7% of them, because they're forcing companies to be better at the ESG thing. And sometimes it's not good for the company with their customer base to be good for that. So they're forcing this issue because they need the money. If I'm Anheuser-Busch, my biggest investor, they're the ones that give me money so that I can operate. I have to kind of follow suit.
Yeah.
And so it's not the companies, it's BlackRock. And so it's huge, and they're big into the whole political both part. But what they do is they play both sides of the fence. So they're investing in electric vehicles, but they're also investing in the coal plant. Because, the fact of the matter is, if one goes up, the other goes down. So they play that game because your 401k, they just need to show growth. They don't need to show exponential growth. You don't want to see 30% growth. You only want to see 5% every year. So they play both sides of it, but they're in essence
shady.
So in essence they're controlling all the politics in the world.
Yeah, that's some shady stuff right there.
It's crazy, and so that's my mind, and I keep digging deeper and deeper, and that's why I'm like, I don't blame Anheuser-Busch for what happened. Yes,
I don't either.
Did they do something that alienated a lot of their customers? Yes, it did. But everybody does that. It's just
I was
social
just
media.
About that this morning.
If we could just delete all social media, right?
I wouldn't have a job.
Oh, we'd figure out something you could do. But if we deleted all social media, because that's to me that's the glory of all evil.
It is my job. It was a career choice I made, but I don't want to be on it most of the time for myself.
Yeah,
because it's so toxic.
It's toxic.
That whole Bud Light really, they took a really big hit. Like, I did not think it was going to be as bad as it was. Like, they're not even in the top. They're not even the top 10 beers anymore. Am I going to wear my Bud Light T-shirt this weekend? Heck yeah, I am, because I still represent. Because I don't care. It doesn't matter.
It's permanent. I think it's permanent.
Yeah. They have a billboard right now. They have a billboard on 235. That's their beer saying we support military vets, and they're very America right now.
Oh, they're trying to make up for it.
They're trying so hard.
But it didn't happen.
It's tough.
Yeah. So what else was on my mind was just I sometimes think about why do I think the way I do, right? Because I'm fanatical at trying to improve a process.
Yeah, you are.
I mean everything. Let me give you an example. So I go to breakfast with this 84-year-old guy, Don, okay, and some other guys. And so Don shows up, had some action in the neighborhood. He lives up this residential neighborhood that has it go up a hill and there's a sharp curve. And these semis keep pulling up with bundle or things of shingles on it, trying to deliver to an address that's the wrong address. And what happens is they try to make the corner and they can't make the corner and they get off into the ditch and then they have to call the tow truck. They have to call the cops to block any traffic. It's not a very busy road, but they have to call the cops and they have to call this tow truck. And being in the trucking business, I know the tow truck, if a big tow truck is probably minimum $1,000 to even turn the key of this truck. So I'm guessing these companies are paying $2,000 to get these guys out of the ditch because it went the wrong way. And I said, Don, what? I said, let's fix the problem. Well, how do I fix the problem? And I said, next time that happens, and I said, first, I told him months ago, I said, why don't they put up a sign? So they called the county, and the county put up a sign, no big trucks at the bottom of the hill. But nobody sees it. So I said, well, next time you go out, go to that driver and ask for his bill lading. What's a bill lading? I said, it's his shipping documents that he had to pick up, that he signed for this load, that he's going to deliver to this, and once they sign for it, he's going to be able to get paid for that load, for delivering that load. So it's a legal document in the trucking business. And I said, go grab his billing and take a picture of it for me. He's like, why? I said, because I'm going to call the shipping. I'm going to call the shipping department and say, hey, you keep trying to send people to this address. So what they're doing is they're sending them to an Ankeny address, but it's really a Des Moines address, and it's the same address. And it's getting delivered to the Ankeny address because it probably says Ankeny in their computer system when really they're trying to go to the Des Moines address. So the drivers put it in the GPS and they just follow. And they go the wrong one. And then I'm going to call who they're delivering to and say, hey, call your supplier and make sure they're changing this so that they're not, because it's just delaying their shipment and whatever. So here I am trying to improve the process of something that I have zero to do with. But it just bugs me that it's like, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep, if we do something wrong, if something's wrong all the time, why don't we improve on it? And so I spent a lot of time just trying to think, because I think a lot. That's all I do is think. And especially when I'm driving. Yeah, sorry. And I know, can be scatterbrained about thinking. But it came back to, I'm like, I'm going to pull up some of my old quality management stuff. So when I started at Ruan back in 2000, wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, back in 1990. That's even longer ago.
I wasn't born.
So 1990, I worked for Ruan, and they invested in this program, this total quality management. And it was kind of, everybody thought it was a buzzword then, but they had a teacher by the name of Bob Galena that came in from Iowa State and taught us Deming philosophy of quality management. Now, Edward Deming was a statistical guy, but he was famous for helping rebuild Japan after World War II. And you know how Japan's super efficient at everything they do. Well, most things they do. And they're known for that. he was part of building that infrastructure. So at Ruan, even though I was just a dispatcher to start, twice a week I had to go to quality management classes for an hour with Dr. Galena. And they taught us about process improvement and measuring and all these tips and tricks that meant almost zero to me at that point. Almost zero to me at that point.
Right.
But then I started reading off some of these, and I wrote some of these down. But I read these off, and I'm going, holy shit. This sunk in 30 years.
They got you.
And they got me, and this is the way I think and the way I think. So, W. Edwards Deming, if you look up, you can tell. But he was famous for saying a couple things, and I wrote a couple things on him. He said, if you aren't measuring, you aren't improving. Okay? And pretty profound. I know that, hey, it makes sense. And without data, you're just another person with an opinion.
Yeah.
So
that checks
right?
out.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can be the gut checker or give me the data. And I'm kind of hey, show me the data. And his famous one was that he had in his book and stuff was, in God we trust, all others bring data. All others must bring data. Yes. Right? So it was all about data. So we learned a lot of things. Okay, we learned how to measure. And so some of his thing that I just quickly, and I'll read off, is like create a constant purpose towards improvement. It has to be an all-in thing. It can't just be part of the company. That's why me as a dispatcher, even the senior executives, we were going through the same training together. So I'm sitting in the training with the president of Ruan and like the treasurer and the janitor. Right? So everybody was in. Everybody was required to go to this training. It was just a requirement. You did it. And it was homework, and it was like going through a college class, but you did it at work. Right? But create a constant improvement. So don't just do the same things better. Find better things to do. Predict and prepare for the future. Always have a goal of getting better. So just culture. Yeah. Adopt a new philosophy. And this one really sticks with me. Put your customers' needs first rather than react to competitive pressure. Design products and services that meet those needs.
Yeah,
right?
You preach that.
I preach. I am constantly, quit thinking about us, think about the customer. Every move that I'm making isn't really based, and I think that's where most restaurant guys go wrong. Because they're trying to base it as a financial game. And I know sometimes financials are very tough, and we're very blessed that they're not that tough for us. But it's all about the customer. And if you can improve it for the customer, you will grow your business. And sales takes care of a lot of problems. You increase your sales, you increase your sales by 20%, you can have a lot of problems, and you're never going to be able to see them. And we were for years, we've had that problem, and now we're, got kind of management team in, and we're really trying to become efficient. We went from 104 employees to 78 or 80 or wherever we're at today, and our business is up, and our business grows every year.
I didn't realize we had that many employees at once.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, it was crazy. I remember times when we used to have 7 people on our front line during the lunch rush. And we didn't have enough people to get our back line open. And now you go up there, and we start with 1 person, and then sometimes we'll get to 2. And during the peak time, we'll get to 4. And then we quickly go back down to 3 and 2 and 1. And the back line's always open. So our carryout business is flourishing because we always able to take carryout orders and stuff. So, yeah, it's just, it's crazy.
We used to have 7 people on the front line?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we didn't have enough. Oh.
That's like a person at every single spot.
You're correct.
Holy crap.
Right. You had 1 person that did nothing but cut ribs. You know what they did if they didn't if they didn't have what they did when they didn't have ribs to cut for that order? You know what they did?
Stood there. They stood there.
We had a bun guy. We toast all our buns, butter toast all our buns, and garlic bread. We make our own garlic bread and garlic butter and stuff. We toasted. We had 1 person that did that. And that's, you know what happens when we didn't eat anymore? You know what? But we always had too much garlic bread. We always had too many buns because they didn't have anything else to do. So they just toasted buns, right? Yeah. And then we had a side dish person. We would used to stack side dishes. We're busy. Okay, let's put 15 beans here.
Two side dish people? Didn't we used to have like 2 side dish people at a time?
No, not
Maybe
really.
it's just because the rib person was standing there and it looked like it was.
But now, one person handles all 3 of those stations. Mm-hmm. Right?
Efficiency.
Boom, efficiency. Very efficiency.
Very efficient.
Deming, use a single supplier for any one item. And there's a whole like 14 or 15 points. I'm just talking about the ones that mean a lot to me. But use a single supplier for any one item because quality relies on consistency. Okay, so you can bounce around and shop around and try and get something that's 10 cents better, but your quality fails. Mm-hmm. So how do you get to, we're a single source supplier. So, a Performance Food Group has 100% of our food business except for dairy because we have a local dairy that does the dairy part of it. Mm-hmm. And so they do 100%. So do I price chop them? Yes. Do I switch suppliers because their price is lower? No. Because there's no consistency in doing that. And once you build that trust in your supplier, rather than, a lot of small restaurants that I see, they have 3 or 4 different suppliers and they're just checking price. Yeah. Well, I tell you, you're really better off to go to your one supplier and say, hey, if I give you all my volume, what can I get for a discount? So instead of playing the field overall, yes, you may pay higher on some items, lower on some items, but overall you'll win. You'll win. Plus, you got to think about the entire cost to us. So if I have one truck that delivers every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, which we do 6 days a week, PFG comes in and by 6 or 6:30, everything's put away. They're gone. They're out of the way. If I bring in multiple suppliers, I'm going to have trucks sitting in my parking lot all day. Right. And I'm going to be tying up employees, putting stuff away all day, where I have one supplier, very consistent. And they talk about don't put all your eggs in one basket, but when it comes to that, if you have a good enough relationship, they will jump through hoops to make sure that things don't fail.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Improve consistently and forever. You just always got to prove. Training on the job, training for consistency. And we talked about, like in our thing, we used to have the same person make our potato salad and beans and stuff every single day. Okay, and they were very good at it. Yep. Well, then they decided they didn't want to be in the restaurant business anymore and wanted to go, into another career. Fine, great. Whatever, everybody needs to be happy, right? Yeah. And so what we found is then we start training people, and then we train person, they do it a little bit differently. And then they train another person and it does it a little differently. So now we still got it. One of Emma's to-do list is still getting in and trying to shoot some videos for the one person that really knows how to make it right every time. Now we're going to go shoot instructional videos on how to do it right so that we can show a new person, here's the video, here's what happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? Eliminate fear in the workplace. So you got to eliminate. You got to allow people to do their best, but they need to be able to bring up new ideas. Now you have a system, so you don't want people just changing stuff,
right?
But you want them to be able to have input to say, "Hey, what if we did this better?" And I get that every day. I get a lot of people say, "Hey, what if I change this?" And sometimes I'm the guy that tries to find the negative things with it, of going, if you're telling me, yesterday, one of our managers, hey, can we get walkie-talkies with earpieces so that we could communicate back and forth? So we have a thing that, a manager needed to register one for a customer credit, or we screwed up something or whatever, or they're needed at carry out or whatever. It'd be just nice to have an earpiece. Okay. I'm not sure we're that big, but maybe. We need to look at it, but okay, do you wear it to the bathroom? What, are you sitting on the toilet taking a potty break? And hey, need on number one. Hey, sorry, doing number two. So it's thinking through all that thing. And the first thing I shot back was, Okay, how do we make sure they don't get stolen? Because everything gets stolen if you leave it unattached. How are they going to be charged so they're not dead every night or every day when we get there?
You also don't want to overcharge them because then they won't last as long.
Yeah, Emma's exactly right. She's taught me about the iPhone, even though I still don't do it, that you need to let your iPhone or iPod go dead before you charge it. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. At least, maybe not every time, but you definitely want to put it in a rotation because it'll just kill its battery. If it's plugged in all the time, it'll just... It does
kill the battery, and I'm famous for it, and I'm pretty good at it because by the time I get through the day, I'm dead anyway. My batteries, I'm toast. Matter of fact, I'm normally having to about 6 o'clock try to get about 20 minutes of charge in so I can make it to 9.
Yeah, I don't charge my phone at night. That's a big one because a lot of people just charge their phone while they go to sleep. Yeah, that'll kill it because once it charges. And iPhones specifically, they're trying to do a really good job of like optimizing your charging, but
right, I saw that.
It's not going to solve all problems.
Right.
So, if you can take anything from me in this podcast, it's don't overcharge your phone.
Don't overcharge your phone. But then again, I fight her back and go, "What am I going to have a dead phone in the middle of the day, or do I have to carry now a battery pack with me?"
No, if you charge it at appropriate time, like I charge mine. I do have an office job, so it's a little bit different. So, like, I'll charge mine first thing in the morning. But, like, I could charge mine while I'm at the gym. You can charge it, like, when you're not using it, but just don't let it be for a long period of time.
Emma,
so, like, at night, when you're saying that you're charging it to get to 9.
When's the last time you saw me not check my phone every 5 minutes?
Well, again, you should learn to disconnect a little bit. Really. But I get that it's hard, especially when Deffy McGee over here he can hear it ringing all the time. But you should, like that time period when you're saying from like 6 to 9 where you're like, I only charge it, you should just charge it, not be on it, see what happens. And then take it off. I don't know. Just... my 2 cents on the situation. I'm just going to carry a battery pack around. I mean, and some of my best days are when my phone goes dead. Yeah. And I don't have a way to charge it. I agree. You. I'm all about disconnecting, but I don't mind being bothered either. So, okay. Break down barriers between departments, and from a standpoint of Smoky D's, we used to be big into departments. If you work in the catering department, don't you dare go help with the pits and work in the meat room. Or I'm a frontline employee, I don't work in the meat room, whatever. And so we broke down a lot of that. And that took a lot to break down because people, we want to be able to, when we flex in catering, we need to be able to flex with a number of people, or we need to be able to, because we're always flexing somewhere. Right? Mm-hmm. There's always somewhere that we're busy, not necessarily in catering today. It's on the line, it's here, whatever. So we need to be able to flex, but that means people need to be cross-trained. So very important. Utility players. Don't build silos. Yeah. I mean, we had this conversation the other day that I think, we employ close to 80 employees. Mm-hmm. If I had utility players that knew how to do everything, right? I'd probably need 40 or 50. Utility players. And from an employee standpoint, if let's say there's 50 of you, I spend this much in payroll today. Yeah. Think how much money that I could pay those 50 employees if they knew how to do everything. Whether it's sliced brisket, hey, I need sliced brisket, I need to do this. Oh, now I'm going to go make some social media posts. Oh, I need to go work at the chicken restaurant. Hey, I need to get some mac and cheese. I'm going to go to the store. I need to do the da-da-da. Yeah. If the more people that know how to do everything, the more valuable are to me and my organization. Right? Back to, I know how to do a lot. Not quite everything, but a lot.
Yeah, you're learning. You're definitely learning.
Well, I hope that worked there before.
Well, you got the best coach that's kind of coaching you, and I'm not saying me, but
Are we still not talking about her?
Nah, we'll give it up. But I mean, Amanda was famous for really coming back and, hey, what do we need done today? Need anything before I leave type thing. And so wasn't scared to do anything. And there's a lot of people now around the organization that are like that didn't used to be that way. So, which is great. But it has to be a whole transformation. So that's the tough part, the measuring stuff. And people talk about measuring. How do I measure? And it's really easy. I'll just put a dot. So you can pick anything. Let's say one of my biggest pet peeves is leftover baked potatoes, right?
Okay.
I walk in the morning and we sell this barbecue baked potato. Well, you can reheat a baked potato for the next day, but chances are half of them aren't very good depending on how long they sat. So, but we would reheat them. And all of a sudden, they'd get ready to serve one to a customer. They'd open it up. It'd be brown. They'd have to throw it away. And all of a sudden, they're out of baked potatoes. So then they're quick hurrying, and then they overcook and whatever. And I'm like, we know how many baked potatoes. If we say, here's how many baked potatoes we have left over a day, and we measure it, right? Hey, and then we can start to see the average. And I don't want to get too geeky, but it was based upon upper and lower control limits. And so let's say you got a line chart and you just start graphing something by day and time, right? Just or by quantity on the left side and date and time on the right. And you measure it every single day. And we find that today we had 3 potatoes. I put a dot on the mark. And then the next day I've got 8 and I put a dot on the mark and whatever. Pretty soon after 15 points, you've defined a system. And you can actually draw what they call upper and lower control limits, which is, not to be too techie, but 3 standard deviations above, 3 standard deviations below the mean, okay?
Nerd alert.
This is how my mind works. So everything that happens in that system, so I may walk in and our average is 3, and we may go to 7, and we may go down to 0, right? And everything rolls within this system, and nobody can see me talking, but I'm making this squiggly of a chart. And then all of a sudden we have 20 left over. That's when we do the freak out and say, what happened? Okay, but if our system is between 0 and 8, well, had 0, had 8, had 0, had 8, had 7, had 6, no big deal. Had 22. We don't freak out when there's 8. We only freak up when you go above your upper control limit. And so you can virtually measure anything. And once you measure something, you'll improve it. Now, you also have the system. So if our average is 3 baked, or let's say our average is 8 baked potatoes left over, we can do things and find out that, hey, if we're averaging 8 with a low of 4 and a high of 12, well, then let's reduce the amount of baked potatoes we cook by 4, and I guarantee our average will come down. Now, we don't want to run out, but even better. So what we did with baked potatoes, I got so frustrated with it. I'm like, don't reheat these. Fresh baked potatoes every day, right? Fresh baked potatoes every day. We're always going to have fresh baked potatoes.
Okay.
And I took the other baked potatoes, and I cooled them off, and I cut them up, and I put them in our potato salad where we were cooking potatoes.
Oh.
And so now we're able to use the product. We have no waste. If we have a bad one, we just throw it away. And we just take the product and we say, hey, we got 5 pounds of potatoes. I can make this much of a batch of potato salad, partially with potatoes that I had to boil and partially I had to bake. And virtually there's no difference when they're done. And you mix it full of the mayo stuff. And now all of a sudden we've improved the system.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, but if you don't measure it, you don't know. So when people freak out about stuff, I'm like, don't freak out. Just measure the system. But you can't measure just what happened the last 2 weeks. You have to have 15 data points, whether that's 15 days, 15 weeks, 15 months. And so when I was in the transportation business, my wall was full of just charts. And every week you'd walk through, you get a data point, you go put it up there and you draw the connecting. And then at some point, we had computer systems, and you can do it in Excel too, that would go through and define your upper and lower control units. So you would you'd take the handwritten one, you replace it with the one that was made on the computer, but you had dates where you started connecting your dots. And our management would walk in and go, oh, you're in control. Oh, you're in control. Oh, you're in control. And everything was in control. So it was just interesting to kind of take that whole roundabout way, and it may be, might not be that maybe we can find some stuff to insert into people that are watching the podcast, but you can't improve it if you don't measure it. So just start measuring stuff, right?
I mean, I measure a little bit. But...
Huh?
I said I'm going to start doing that more. I mean, I measure a little bit anyway, but maybe I do need a bigger picture.
So you talk about social media. Start talking about. I like the analytics if I post at 9:00 every day, okay, am I getting? Here's Monday, Tuesday. How many likes did I get at that time?
Yeah.
How many likes did I get every time I posted at 9 a.m.? Here's 9 a.m. Monday, 9 a.m. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Wednesday, and all of a sudden you see. Yeah. Wow. It'll pop out to you. It'll pop out to you going, why am I posting on this day? But then what you do is then you create another post at a certain, another time. So 3:00 on Monday may be the ultimate. And people will tell you when to post, but do they really?
Yeah.
Because they can give you, but our customers.
Yeah. And I'm trying out a thing right now because with Facebook Business Suite, which is what we use to post on Facebook and Instagram, they have a system where it's like, this is the optimal time for you to post because this is when your followers are most active. So this weekend, I'm going to post when they tell me to post to see if it actually if they're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in the meantime,
it says a lot of our customers are on at 7 p.m. So I'd really be posting for the next day, which is fine. It doesn't have to be. It's just a different mindset than what I'm.
Well, think about 7 p.m. I'm going to hit them with the catering post, right, at 7 p.m. Because
on Saturday.
What?
Well, just maybe.
It's at 7:00. It's not too late to get those ribs. At 7:00, people are starting. At 7:00, people have been on the lake drinking. Hey, never to stop. We got plenty of room for that boat across the street.
Saturday, especially Saturdays are really the only days. Saturdays and Fridays would be the best days for us to post at 7 for the order for right now. Most of them.
I keep telling her it's really 4:30 a.m. because there's guys like me that get up and sit on the toilet for 20 minutes and read all the news and everything.
Sometimes you have to remember that
I'm a small percentage of that.
This big.
Right.
In the big picture. So.
Okay.
No, that's hard
to believe, enough about quality management. Hopefully, go look at W. Edwards Deming. Really, look at that whole thing. It makes sense. Just measure something. Just start. But you can't change a bunch of stuff. But measure. Just measure how many brisket sandwiches are sold every day. And just at the end of the day, just measure that. And after 15, you'll see, wow. This is what I do. So, and it's hard for us. I'm working on a new piece of software with another company, Alex is, that will tell us actually use our last 2 years worth of data, and it kind of gives us upper and lower controls. Hey, do you want to run out of this product sometimes? Do you kind of want to run out every once in a while, or do you want to never run out? And here's what you should prep, how much you should prep of each thing. So we're trying to get that into our system that it pops it out every day. So we know how many portions of brisket. Yeah. So, that's my biggest thing when it comes to POS systems is you got all this data. We have I can tell every single order that anybody's ever placed, but I need to be able to consolidate it to make it measurable so that we can make it better for the customers and keep everything fresh and keep everything, we cook this many ribs in the morning and this many in the afternoon. Well, if we have this many left over in the afternoon that are staying in the warmer for another 3 hours and we need to cook less here or more here or whatever, because we don't want to run out, but we don't want them sitting there all day long either. So, lots of stuff to implement, but look up W. Edwards Deming. Just do a little research on it. Figure out how to make a upper and lower control limit. It's really easy. And it's something I think that will help everybody improve their business.
That is, yeah. I agree.
Okay. Anything else? We've been talking for an hour, Emma.
I know. We're getting kind of good at this.
And you kind of made me proud. I don't think you said yep or right twice.
I think I said right, but I was more engaged.
We're going to measure that. No, we're not.
I did notice that. I don't say unless I'm conducting an interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I haven't
Sherry,
said it, I don't think, since
I have
the
all
Luke
kinds
Darnell
of things
episode.
where, like Sherry, she says she doesn't, she goes, I don't finish my sentences ever. Because
you also
I
say
start
words
talking.
that are so very wrong.
I start talking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm on to my next thought. I couldn't get that thought out fast enough.
Yeah.
And I know I use words that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I know.
You said that's efficiently, and it should have just been that's efficient. Just now in this episode alone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Can you edit that out? No.
No, I corrected you anyway.
Oh, okay.
But
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until next week.
Yeah. Like, follow, subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Leave comments. I read them. And when they're really funny, I send them to Darren, which they're all pretty funny. Or pretty good. And then you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, if you're on that app. Darren's a big Threads guy.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm up to 74 followers.
It's just kind of surprising because he just got a Twitter. I've seen him use it maybe 2 or 3 times, but Threads, he posts all the time.
Emma,
it
back
is
behind,
the most.
I am
it
on
is the best platform I've seen.
I'm on Twitter a lot because my whole crypto, and I'm big. Maybe someday we'll talk about crypto. But I'm big into crypto, and I do a lot of research on crypto. And
that is a Twitter thing.
That is a Twitter thing. But what's amazed me about Threads? I was just thinking this morning. What's amazed me about Threads is there's nothing political on Threads.
Yeah.
So Twitter's full of political bullshit. If you, you can get it off your feed, but Threads, I have yet to see anything political, and it's kind of like Instagram.
I like Threads because it's such a new platform, and it's like a spin-off on a platform that has been taken over by politics and all of the gossip and things. It's like hey, we're just here to be like what Twitter originally was, which is just say stupid stuff. And just
like
literally
my first
post what's on your mind.
My first post. Hey, so anybody out here?
Yeah.
but it got more likes than any post I've made.
Yeah. So, and I just it's a very user-friendly platform. I was really surprised, and I was very anti-Threads at the start. Because I was like, there's no way, this isn't going to last very long. And then Darren texted me and said, did you get our Threads update? Or did you get our Threads yet? And I was like, what is happening? No, but I will.
So it just made me think of something. We're going to do a little test.
Okay.
I'm
Let's hear it.
putting on Threads right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing my famous, it's all fun and games until somebody gets pregnant.
You say that often?
I say that all the time. Post. We're going to check back. We're going to check back next week and
I do really like
see how that performed.
It hasn't been overtaken yet. I give it probably 6 months, but for now it's fun. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Except you've posted more threads than I have on all of our platforms combined.
And I probably got more followers too, don't you?
No. Smokey D's has already almost 300.
Oh, well, I'll start posting more.
Yeah, Smokey D's we just came out running, I guess.
Huh, good. Good thing I told you to get up and running. You're like, what?
Fun fact, Threads we already had accounts because the way Threads was set up.
Because Instagram gave it to you.
Yeah, no, because they automatically, which is why their numbers I think are a little bizarre, and I'm not 100% sure they're accurate because I didn't even have to set anything up. I just it clicked log in and it pulled all of our accounts. So it already had us in the system. So really, it just took all of Instagram's users, which is why when they're like, we had this many users in the first day, it just means that many people, opened the app. You might not even have wanted to become a user. You just wanted to see what was going on. Right. So people do that with Twitter and stuff, and you couldn't. So they really trapped you.
I was just trying to find our threads.
Opinion.
I was trying to find our threads where I brought it up to you, and you were shocked that I knew what it was.
I have it because I was like, "What the heck?" I was surprised.
And you were like, "Well, I was going to talk to you about this."
I was because he Yeah, I get a text. It's like, did you lock up our names on the Threads app? And I was like, I was going to talk to you about that, but I can't. And then he said, my friend said 30 million people signed up yesterday. And I was like, okay. I mean, I think it's not, I'm surprised I don't know how long it's going to last because Twitter's going to be coming at it hot, but sure. Got them logged in.
Got them
logged in. We already had
accounts. Woo-hoo. Okay, go check us out on Threads. Goat of BBQ and Cue the Mic.
Cue the Mic podcast.
Smokey D's and all that.
And SmokeyD's.515. I'm not going to plug mine. Mine's private. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
I'll tell it to you. Don't worry about it. I'll post it on my Threads.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, let's go. I got to go. We're off to Oshkosh, Wisconsin to a barbecue contest.
Right
After
on.
I go
Hopefully
back
you can bring home the win.
Got a load of wood coming in from my dad, hot from southeast Iowa today. So I'm going to go meet him right quick, and then we're off to Wisconsin.
All right. Well, that is it for episode 13 of Cue the Mic. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.